Eleanor Pierce sat in a worn diner booth, dressed in thrift store clothes and waiting. 27 men before had run the moment she pretended she couldn't pay for dinner. But when Noah Turner walked in, grease-stained shirt, calloused hands, everything shifted. He smiled, paid her bill without hesitation, then pulled out his phone to tell his daughter good night, voice soft and unguarded. For the first time in years of testing hearts, Eleanor felt something she hadn't planned for. Would this 28th man shatter the steel walls she'd built? The diner smelled like burnt coffee and old grease. Eleanor had chosen it deliberately. No one who mattered would ever eat here. The vinyl booth stuck to her cheap jeans, the kind she'd bought specifically for nights like this. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup, no jewelry except for the plastic watch on her wrist that cost $3. She looked exactly like someone who couldn't afford dinner. Noah arrived 6 minutes late. He apologized immediately, wiping his hands on his jeans even though they were already clean. The grease stains on his work shirt were permanent, the kind that never washed out no matter how many times you tried. Eleanor had seen men in expensive suits who looked less comfortable in their own skin. "Sorry," Noah said, sliding into the booth across from her. "Had a last-minute job. Transmission gave out on someone's Honda." "Eleanor Ellie," she reminded herself, smiled. "It's fine. I just got here." That was a lie. She'd been here for 40 minutes, watching the door, preparing herself for another disappointment. The dating app profile had been carefully constructed. No mention of money. No photos that showed anything valuable. Just a woman looking for something real. They ordered. Noah asked for a burger and fries. Eleanor ordered the cheapest thing on the menu, a grilled cheese sandwich. She watched him glance at the prices, saw something shift in his expression, but he didn't comment. The conversation started simple. Work, weather, the kind of small talk that filled space between strangers. But Noah didn't perform the way the others had. He didn't check his phone, didn't scan the room for better options. When Eleanor spoke, he listened like her words actually mattered. "So you fix cars," Eleanor said. Noah nodded. "Own a small shop. Just me and one other guy. Nothing fancy, but it pays the bills. You like it?" "Love it," Noah said, and there was no shame in his voice. "There's something honest about it. Car's broken, you fix it. Someone needs help, you help them. It's straightforward." Eleanor thought about her office. The boardrooms, the lawyers and accountants who spoke in calculated half-truths. Nothing about her world was straightforward. "What about you?" Noah asked. "What do you do?" This was the script. The moment she'd practiced 27 times before. "I work retail," Eleanor said. "At a clothing store downtown. The pay's not great, but it's something." Noah didn't flinch, didn't look disappointed, just nodded like he understood what it meant to work hard for not enough money. The food arrived. They ate. Eleanor kept waiting for the shift, the moment when Noah would start asking questions that dug toward her bank account, her prospects, her value beyond this booth. But he asked about her family instead, her childhood, what she did on weekends. She lied, of course, created a history of struggle and making do, but parts of it felt true in ways she hadn't expected. The loneliness, the sense that everyone wanted something from her, those parts didn't need exaggeration. Then came the test. Eleanor had perfected the performance. The meal was finished. The check arrived. She reached for her purse, made a show of searching through it, then let her face fall. "Oh no," she said, voice small. "I think I left my wallet at home." This was the moment. The moment 27 men had failed. Some had gotten angry. Others had made excuses and left her with the bill. A few had paid but never called again. Eleanor had documented every reaction, every reveal of true character when money entered the equation. Noah looked at the check, then at her. "Don't worry about it," he said. He pulled out a worn leather wallet and put cash on the table, enough to cover both meals and a decent tip. "Happens to everyone." Eleanor stared at him. "I can pay you back. I can—" "It's fine," Noah said, and his smile was genuine. "Really, it's just dinner. Just dinner." as if $28 wasn't money he'd earned on his back under someone's car, hands scraped and muscles aching, as if helping a stranger was the most natural thing in the world. Eleanor felt something crack inside her chest. They walked out together. The parking lot was cold, fall air cutting through her thin jacket. She'd left her expensive coat at home, of course. Noah noticed her shiver. "You need a ride?" he asked. "I'm okay," Eleanor said. "I don't live far." Another lie. Her penthouse was across the city. Noah nodded, but he didn't move toward his truck yet. Instead, he pulled out his phone. "Give me just a second," he said. "I need to call my daughter." Eleanor watched him dial, watched his whole face soften when a small voice answered. "Hey, Ladybug," Noah said. "Just wanted to say goodnight before you go to bed." The voice on the other end was bright and chattering. Eleanor couldn't make out the words, but she could hear the joy in them. I know, Noah said, laughing. "I'll bring pancakes for breakfast. The chocolate chip ones, I promise." He listened for a moment. "I love you too. Sleep tight." He ended the call and looked at Eleanor. "Sorry about that. My daughter, Lily, she's 7, doesn't sleep well if I don't call." "That's sweet," Eleanor said, and meant it. "She's everything," Noah said simply. "Been just the two of us for a while now. Her mom left when Lily was 3, decided she didn't sign up for the whole family thing. He said it without bitterness, just fact, so we figure it out together." Eleanor had researched dozens of men, run background checks, vetted their social media, but standing in this parking lot, watching Noah talk about his daughter with that unguarded love, she realized she'd never actually seen into someone's heart before. "I'd like to see you again," Noah said. "If you want to." Eleanor should have said no. Should have ended the test here, documented his success, moved on with her life. But instead she heard herself say, "I'd like that." They exchanged numbers. Noah waited until she was in her car, the old Honda she'd bought specifically for these tests, before he drove away in his beat-up Ford truck. Eleanor sat in the parking lot for 10 minutes after he left, hands on the steering wheel, breathing carefully. In her real car, the one that cost more than most people made in a year, she had a file, 27 names, 27 failures. She'd been so certain test number 28 would end the same way. But Noah Turner had passed every part of her test without even knowing he was being tested, and that terrified her. Because for the first time since she'd started this experiment, Eleanor Pierce didn't want to walk away. She wanted to see him again, wanted to meet his daughter, wanted to know what it felt like to be around someone who didn't want anything from her except her company. She wanted to keep being Ellie, the woman who worked retail and forgot her wallet and didn't have the weight of a billion-dollar empire on her shoulders. Eleanor drove home through the city, past the neighborhoods that got nicer and nicer until she reached the building where her penthouse occupied the entire top floor. She rode the elevator up, walked into her empty apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows and designer furniture, and felt more alone than she had in the cheap diner booth. Her phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Thanks for tonight. Hope you got home safe." Eleanor looked at the message for a long time. Then she typed back, "I did. Thank you for dinner, and for being kind." His response came quickly. "Kindness is free. See you soon?" "Yes," Eleanor wrote. "Soon." She set down her phone and walked to the window. The city spread out below her, millions of lights, millions of people. She'd built an empire in that city, made herself untouchable, and somehow, in one night, a mechanic with grease-stained hands had made her feel more seen than anyone had in years. Eleanor had designed this test to protect herself, to prove that men couldn't be trusted when money was involved, to confirm that her walls were necessary. But Noah Turner had walked right past those walls without even noticing they existed, and Eleanor didn't know what to do with that. They met again 3 days later, then again the following weekend. Each time, Eleanor drove the old Honda and wore clothes that looked like they'd been worn too many times. Each time, Noah showed up exactly as he was, honest, unhurried, present. The third date, he brought Lily. Eleanor had prepared for this. She'd researched child psychology, read articles about single fathers, practiced the right things to say. But when Lily climbed out of Noah's truck, wearing light-up sneakers and a smile that took up her whole face, all of Eleanor's preparation evaporated. "You're Ellie," Lily announced. "Dad said you're nice." "Did he?" Eleanor looked at Noah, who had the decency to look slightly embarrassed. "I might have mentioned you once or twice," Noah said. 17 times, Lily corrected. "I counted." They went to the park. Eleanor sat on a bench while Noah pushed Lily on the swings, watched them move together with the ease of people who'd figured out how to be a family even when half of it was missing. Lily's laughter carried across the playground. Noah's responses came automatic, like he'd learned her rhythms by heart. Eventually, Lily ran off to the slides, and Noah sat down next to Eleanor. "She likes you," he said. "I haven't done anything yet," Eleanor said. "Exactly," Noah replied. "You're not trying too hard. Lily can tell when people are faking it." Eleanor's throat tightened. If only he knew. Lily came back with grass stains on her knees and a request for ice cream. They walked to a small shop 2 blocks away, the kind of place that hadn't updated its decor since the 1980s. Lily ordered chocolate. Noah got vanilla. Eleanor asked for strawberry and reached for her purse out of habit before catching herself. Noah had already paid. They sat outside on a wooden bench that needed painting. Lily wedged herself between them, swinging her legs and talking about her second-grade teacher and a boy named Marcus who ate glue. Eleanor found herself listening to every word, caught up in the simple specificity of a 7-year-old's concerns. "Do you have kids?" Lily asked suddenly, looking up at Eleanor with ice cream on her chin. "No," Eleanor said. "I don't. Do you want them?" Noah reached over and wiped Lily's face with a napkin. "Ladybug, that's a personal question." "It's okay," Eleanor said. She looked at Lily, at those wide, curious eyes that hadn't learned to hide what they wanted yet. "I never really thought about it before. I've been focused on work." "What kind of work?" Lily asked. Eleanor's mind raced. She'd told Noah she worked retail. Had to keep the story straight. "I help people find clothes that make them happy," Eleanor said, which was technically true if you counted the board meetings where she approved marketing strategies for her company's fashion subsidiaries. Lily considered this. That sounds nice. Making people happy is important. Something about the simple certainty in Lily's voice made Eleanor's chest hurt. They finished their ice cream, walked back to the parking lot. Lily held Noah's hand on one side and reached for Eleanor's on the other, creating a chain between them. Eleanor looked down at the small fingers wrapped around hers and felt the weight of what she was doing settle deeper into her bones. This wasn't just a test anymore. Over the next 2 weeks, Eleanor became part of their routine. She met them for dinner at places with plastic menus and crayons for kids, helped Lily with her homework at the public library, sat in the waiting room of the garage while Noah finished up work, breathing in the smell of motor oil and listening to him talk to customers with the same patience he used with his daughter. She learned that Noah made pancakes every Sunday, that Lily was afraid of thunderstorms but brave about everything else, that Noah's truck had 230,000 miles on it and he refused to replace it because his father had given it to him before he died. She learned what it felt like to be part of something that mattered in a way her boardrooms never had. But the lie grew heavier with each passing day. Eleanor started making excuses at work. Delegated meetings, let calls go to voicemail. Her assistant asked if she was feeling well. Her CFO wanted to know why she'd missed 3 executive briefings in a row. "I'm taking some personal time," Eleanor said, which was true and also completely inadequate. She was living 2 lives, and the distance between them was getting harder to cross. One afternoon, Lily asked if Eleanor wanted to come over for dinner. "Just spaghetti, nothing fancy." Noah looked at Eleanor carefully when he extended the invitation, like he was offering something more than a meal. "I'd love to," Eleanor said. Noah's house was small. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen where everything was clean but worn. Pictures of Lily covered the refrigerator. School artwork hung on the walls with painter's tape. The furniture looked like it had been bought second-hand and assembled with care. It was nothing like Eleanor's penthouse. It felt like a home. They cooked together. Noah handled the pasta while Eleanor helped Lily tear lettuce for salad. They moved around each other in the tiny kitchen with an ease that surprised Eleanor. No one was performing. No one was trying to impress anyone. They were just making dinner. Afterward, they watched a movie. Some animated thing about talking animals that Lily had seen a dozen times. Eleanor sat on the couch with Lily curled against her side, feeling the warmth of the child's body and the simple trust in the way she'd arranged herself. Noah caught Eleanor's eye over Lily's head, smiled in a way that made Eleanor forget, for just a moment, who she really was. Then Eleanor's sleeve rode up. She didn't notice at first. Was too focused on the movie, on Lily's running commentary about which character was her favorite. But when she reached for her water glass, her watch caught the lamplight. The watch she'd forgotten to take off. The Patek Philippe that cost more than Noah, probably made in 6 months. Noah's expression shifted. Just slightly. A small crease between his eyebrows. He didn't say anything, didn't draw attention to it, but Eleanor saw the moment he noticed, saw the question forming behind his eyes. She pulled her sleeve down quickly, covered the watch, but the damage was done. The movie ended. Eleanor made excuses about getting home. Noah walked her to the door while Lily got ready for bed. The night air was cool between them. "Thanks for coming," Noah said. "Thanks for having me," Eleanor replied. Her voice sounded too formal in her own ears. Noah looked at her for a long moment. "That's a nice watch." Eleanor's stomach dropped. It was a gift. From a long time ago. "Must have been some gift," Noah said quietly. "It doesn't mean anything," Eleanor said, which was both true and a lie. The watch meant everything. It was a reminder of who she really was, what she really had, the life she was hiding. Noah nodded slowly. "Okay." But something had shifted. Some small crack in the foundation they'd been building. Eleanor drove home feeling sick. The next morning, her world exploded. She was in a coffee shop, a real one, not the chain places where no one looked twice at anyone when she saw the man with the camera. Recognized him half a second too late. The paparazzo who'd been trying to get photos of her for months. The flash went off. Eleanor turned away. But she knew it didn't matter. He'd gotten the shot. Her face. The coffee shop, the cheap clothes that didn't match the woman the tabloids knew as Eleanor Pierce. Tech billionaire, CEO of Pierce Industries. She left without her coffee. By noon, the photo was everywhere. Social media, gossip sites, business news trying to figure out why Eleanor Pierce was dressed like she shopped at thrift stores and drinking coffee in a neighborhood she had no reason to be in. By evening, someone had connected the dots. The dating profile, the cheap restaurants, the pattern of behavior that didn't match her net worth. The headlines wrote themselves. Billionaire's secret broke girl act. CEO catfishes her way through dating apps. Eleanor Pierce's poor girl cosplay. Eleanor sat in her penthouse and watched her phone explode with notifications. Calls from her PR team, texts from her board members, emails from lawyers asking how they should handle this. But the only message that mattered was the one that didn't come. Noah didn't call, didn't text. Eleanor knew what that silence meant. She'd been exposed. The test was over, and she'd lost the one person who'd actually passed it. 2 days later, she drove to Noah's house. Used her real car this time because there was no point in hiding anymore. The Tesla looked obscene parked in front of the modest home with its chain-link fence and dying grass. Noah answered the door. His face was carefully blank. "Can we talk?" Eleanor asked. "I don't think that's a good idea," Noah said. "Please," Eleanor said. "Let me explain." "Explain what?" Noah's voice was quiet, but there was steel underneath. "Explain that you've been lying to me for weeks? That you dressed up like you were poor to see if I'd what? Pass some kind of test?" "It wasn't like that," Eleanor started. "It was exactly like that." Noah cut her off. "I saw the articles, Eleanor, or Ellie, or whoever you actually are. You've done this 27 times before, made a game out of people's decency." "It wasn't a game," Eleanor said. Her voice cracked. "I needed to know." "Needed to know what? If I was good enough? If I'd love you for your money?" Noah's jaw tightened. "I didn't even know you had money. I just knew I liked being around you. That Lily liked being around you. I thought you were real." I am real, Eleanor said desperately. Everything I felt, everything we had, that was real. But you weren't, Noah said. The woman I fell for doesn't exist. She was just a costume you wore to test people like me. The word fell hit Eleanor like a physical thing. He'd fallen for her. For Ellie. For the woman who didn't exist. Where's Lily? Eleanor asked. At her friend's house, Noah said. And she's going to stay there until you leave. Because I can't let her get more attached to someone who's just going to disappear. I'm not going to disappear, Eleanor said. You already did, Noah replied. The second you lied about who you were. He started to close the door. Eleanor put her hand against it. I know I messed up, she said. I know I hurt you, but I need you to understand why. I don't care why, Noah said, and for the first time his voice rose. I don't care if you got hurt before or if men used you or if you had reasons. You used me. You used my daughter. You made us care about someone who wasn't real. She was real, Eleanor said again, but her voice had no strength left. Noah looked at her with something that might have been pity or might have been exhaustion. I need you to leave, he said quietly. And I need you to not come back. He closed the door. Eleanor stood on the porch for a long time. Inside, she could hear nothing. No movement, no sound. Just silence, where there used to be laughter and warmth, and the feeling of belonging somewhere. She walked back to her car, sat in the driver's seat. The leather was soft and expensive. The dashboard glowed with technology that cost more than everything Noah owned. She had designed this car through one of her subsidiary companies, had picked out every detail. It felt like a prison. Eleanor drove home through streets that blurred through tears she didn't remember starting to cry. She'd spent years protecting herself, building walls, testing people to make sure they couldn't hurt her the way she'd been hurt before. And in the process, she'd hurt the first person who'd actually seen past all of it. The irony wasn't lost on her. She'd won her test. Noah had passed every part of it, had proven himself to be exactly what she'd been looking for, kind, honest, real, and she'd lost him anyway. Because the test itself had been the problem all along. Eleanor didn't sleep that night, or the next. She sat in her penthouse surrounded by everything she'd built and felt the emptiness of it press against her chest. Her assistant called twice. Her CFO sent urgent emails about a merger that needed her attention. The world kept turning like nothing had changed, but everything had changed. On the third night, her phone rang at 11:47, an unknown number. Eleanor almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Is this Ellie? The voice was small and scared. Eleanor sat up straight. Lily? I'm sorry for calling, Lily said, and Eleanor could hear tears in her voice. I took Dad's phone when he was sleeping. I found your number in his contacts. Lily, what's wrong? Are you okay? I heard Dad talking to his friend, Lily said. The words came out in a rush. He said you lied about who you were, that you were testing him, that you were rich and just pretending. Eleanor closed her eyes. Lily, I don't understand, Lily interrupted. Why would you pretend to be someone else? Did you not like us? Were we not good enough? The question hit Eleanor like a fist. No. God, no. That's not Lily. You and your dad are the best people I've ever met. Then why did you lie? Eleanor tried to find words that a 7-year-old could understand. Words that would explain years of disappointment and self-protection and fear. I was scared, Eleanor said finally. I've met a lot of people who only wanted to be around me because of my money. I wanted to know if someone could care about me without it. That's dumb, Lily said with the brutal honesty of children. Dad doesn't care about money. He says people are more important than things. Your dad's right, Eleanor said. Then why didn't you just tell him the truth? Lily asked. Eleanor had no good answer for that. I miss you, Lily said quietly. You made Dad smile more, and you helped me with my homework, and you didn't talk to me like I was stupid. I miss you too, Eleanor said, and her voice broke on the words. So much. Will you come back? Lily asked. I don't think your dad wants me to, Eleanor said carefully. He's just sad, Lily said. He gets quiet when he's sad. But maybe if you explained. There was a sound in the background. A door opening. Noah's voice, sharp with concern. Lily, what are you doing up? I have to go, Lily whispered into the phone. But Ellie, I don't think you're bad. I think you just made a mistake. The call ended. Eleanor sat in the dark holding her phone. Out of the mouths of children, a mistake. As if it were that simple. As if she could apologize and everything would go back to the way it was. But maybe simple was what she needed. She'd complicated everything by trying to protect herself. By building tests and walls and layers of deception. Maybe the truth was the simplest thing she could offer. Eleanor pulled up Noah's number. Stared at it for 5 full minutes. Then she started typing. I know you don't want to hear from me. But Lily just called. She's upset. I told her I made a mistake. Because I did. I made a lot of mistakes. And I'm sorry. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The response came 10 minutes later. I know she called. I found her in the kitchen with my phone. She thinks she can fix everything. Eleanor typed back. Can she? The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times. Then finally, I don't know. It wasn't a no. It wasn't forgiveness either. But it was something. Eleanor looked out at the city. At the lights stretching to the horizon. Somewhere out there, Noah was probably sitting in his small house, trying to explain complicated adult problems to a 7-year-old who just wanted the people she cared about to be happy. Eleanor made a decision. She grabbed her keys and drove across the city. The roads were empty at this hour. No traffic to slow her down. No time to change her mind. She reached Noah's neighborhood just after 1 in the morning. All the houses were dark except his. A light glowed in the front window. Eleanor parked and walked to the door, knocked before fear could stop her. Noah opened it. He looked exhausted. It's the middle of the night, he said. I know, Eleanor replied. But Lily called me, and I couldn't stop thinking about what she said. What did she say? That I made a mistake, Eleanor said. And she's right. I did. A lot of them. But the biggest one was not trusting you with the truth from the beginning. Noah leaned against the doorframe. Why didn't you? Because I've been hurt before, Eleanor said. By men who said they loved me but really loved my bank account. By people who saw my money before they saw me. I built those tests to protect myself, to prove that everyone was the same. And we weren't, Noah said quietly. You weren't, Eleanor agreed. You saw Ellie. This broken-down version of me with cheap clothes and no prospects. And you cared anyway. You paid for dinner. You introduced me to your daughter. You let me into your life without asking what I could do for you. Because that's not how love works, Noah said. I know that now, Eleanor said. But I'd forgotten. I'd spent so long protecting myself that I forgot what it felt like to just be with someone, to trust them. Noah was quiet for a long moment. You hurt me. Not because you're rich. Because you lied about who you were. I know, Eleanor said. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If I could go back and do it differently. But you can't, Noah interrupted. That's the thing about lies. You can apologize for them, but you can't undo them. Eleanor felt tears on her face but didn't wipe them away. So what do we do? I don't know, Noah said honestly. I need to think about Lily, about what's best for her. She's already been left by one person who was supposed to stay. I can't let her get hurt again. I would never hurt her, Eleanor said. You already did, Noah replied. His voice wasn't cruel, just tired. You walked into our life as someone you weren't. And now she's confused and sad and asking questions. I don't know how to answer. Eleanor nodded. She'd known this was coming, had prepared herself for it. But hearing it still felt like breaking. I understand, she said. I'll leave you both alone. She turned to go. Wait, Noah said. Eleanor looked back. Do you actually care about us? Noah asked. Or were we just another test? You stopped being a test the moment you called Lily that first night, Eleanor said. When I heard how much you loved her. When I saw what kind of father you were. What kind of man you were. Everything after that was real. The only fake thing was my name and my job, but how I felt that was real. Noah studied her face. How do I know that's true? You don't, Eleanor said simply. You just have to decide if you believe me. The same way I had to decide if I believed you. Except you actually are who you said you were, and I wasn't. So I understand if you can't. The door to Lily's room opened. The little girl stood in the hallway in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Ellie, she said sleepily. Hi, Ladybug, Eleanor said softly. I'm sorry we woke you up. Lily walked past Noah and wrapped her arms around Eleanor's waist. Eleanor looked at Noah. He was watching them with an expression she couldn't read. I don't know, Eleanor said honestly. That's up to your dad. But you don't want to leave? Lily asked. No, Eleanor said. I don't want to leave. Lily looked at her father. Dad, can Ellie stay? It's complicated, Ladybug, Noah said. It's only complicated because you're making it complicated, Lily said, with the devastating logic of children. You like her. She likes you. She made a mistake, but she said sorry. Isn't that what you always tell me? That saying sorry is important? Noah knelt down so he was eye level with his daughter. Sometimes sorry isn't enough. Sometimes people hurt us and we need time to figure out if we can trust them again. But how will you figure it out if you don't give her a chance? Lily asked. Noah looked at Eleanor over his daughter's head. She saw the war happening behind his eyes. The desire to protect his child versus the desire to believe in second chances. The fear of being hurt again versus the possibility of something real. Eleanor didn't push, didn't plead, just waited. Finally, Noah stood up. Lily, go back to bed. But, bed, Noah said firmly. Eleanor and I need to talk. Adult talk. Lily looked between them, then hugged Eleanor one more time before trudging back to her room. Noah and Eleanor stood in the doorway alone. I can't promise I'll get over this quickly, Noah said. I can't promise I'll be able to trust you the way I did before. I know, Eleanor said. But Lily's right about one thing, Noah continued. I did like you. A lot. And maybe that person you were pretending to be, maybe that was closer to who you really are than the CEO version. It was, Eleanor said. Ellie is who I am when I'm not trying to be Eleanor Pierce. She's the person I want to be. Noah took a breath. Let it out slowly. If we do this, if we try this, it has to be real this time. No more tests, no more lies. You have to be honest with me about everything. Your life, your work, your world, all of it. I will, Eleanor promised. I'll tell you everything, answer any question, let you see all of it. And if it doesn't work? Noah asked. If your world and mine are too different? Then at least we'll know we tried, Eleanor said. At least we'll have given it a real chance. Noah looked at her for a long time. Then he stepped back from the door. Come in. It's cold out there. Eleanor stepped inside. The house smelled like home, like coffee and crayons and the laundry detergent Noah used, like everything she'd been missing in her empty penthouse. They sat at the kitchen table. The same table where they'd eaten spaghetti, where Lily had done her homework while Eleanor helped her sound out words. Tell me something true, Noah said. Something you've never told anyone. Eleanor thought about all the practiced speeches she'd given to boards and investors, all the carefully constructed answers she'd provided to journalists. None of those felt right for this moment. I'm lonely, she said finally. I have everything anyone could want. Money, success, power. But I'm so lonely I can barely breathe sometimes. And when I was with you and Lily, when I was Ellie, I forgot what that felt like. I forgot I was lonely. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't alone. Noah reached across the table, took her hand. His palm was rough from work, warm from living. I understand that, he said quietly. After Lily's mom left, I thought we'd be enough. Me and Lily against the world. And we were. We are. But then you showed up and I remembered what it felt like to have someone to share it with. To not have to be strong all the time. To have someone who saw me and stayed anyway. I'm staying, Eleanor said. If you'll let me. It's not going to be easy, Noah warned. Your world and mine, they're different. People are going to have opinions. About you dating a mechanic. About me dating a billionaire. About whether this is real or just some story for the tabloids. Let them talk, Eleanor said. I don't care what they think anymore. I only care what you think. What Lily thinks. Lily thinks you hung the moon, Noah said with a small smile. She's been asking about you every day since the news broke, wanting to know if you were okay. If you were sad. I was, Eleanor admitted. I am, but I'm also hopeful, because you let me in tonight, because you're giving me a chance I don't deserve. Everyone deserves a second chance, Noah said. Even people who make mistakes. They sat in the quiet kitchen as the night stretched toward morning, talked about everything Eleanor had been hiding, her company, her wealth, the life she'd built, and the loneliness it had cost her. Noah listened without judgment, asked questions that showed he was trying to understand, not trying to find fault. When the sun started to rise, Lily padded into the kitchen in her pajamas. You're still here, she said to Eleanor, and her smile was bright enough to hurt. I'm still here, Eleanor confirmed. Are you staying for pancakes? Lily asked. Dad makes them on Sundays. Eleanor looked at Noah. He nodded. Yeah, Eleanor said. I'm staying for pancakes. 3 months later, Eleanor stood in front of her executive board and made an announcement. She was stepping back from day-to-day operations, promoting her COO to CEO, taking on a chairman role that would let her guide the company without living in it. I need balance, she told them. I need a life outside these walls. Some of them understood. Some thought she was crazy. She didn't particularly care which. She drove to Noah's garage after the meeting, found him under a Chevy, music playing from a speaker covered in grease. Hey, she called out. Noah rolled out from under the car, saw her standing there in her business suit and smiled in a way that still made her heart skip. How'd it go? He asked. I'm free, Eleanor said. Well, freer. I still have responsibilities, but I'm not drowning in them anymore. Noah stood up, wiped his hands on a rag. You sure about this? Giving up control? I'm not giving it up, Eleanor corrected. I'm sharing it. Trusting other people to do their jobs so I can actually live my life. And what does living your life look like? Noah asked. Eleanor looked around the garage, at the cars waiting to be fixed, at the calendar on the wall with Lily's soccer schedule marked in red, at Noah standing there with oil on his shirt and love in his eyes. It looks like this, she said. Like Sunday pancakes and homework help and sitting in this garage while you work, because I'd rather be here than anywhere else. Noah pulled her close, careful not to get grease on her suit. You know people are still talking, right? About us, about whether this is real. Let them talk, Eleanor said against his chest. I know it's real. You know it's real. That's all that matters. That evening, Eleanor picked Lily up from school. They stopped for ice cream on the way home. Lily chattered about her day, about the spelling test she'd aced and the boy who'd finally stopped eating glue. Ellie, Lily said as they pulled into the driveway. Yeah, Ladybug, are you going to marry my dad? Eleanor nearly dropped her ice cream. Where did that come from? My friend Emma said her mom got married, and now she has a stepdad, Lily explained. I was wondering if you'd be my stepmom. Would you want that? Eleanor asked carefully. Lily thought about it seriously. I think so. I mean, you're already kind of like a mom. You help with homework, and you make sure I eat vegetables, and you give really good hugs. Eleanor felt her throat tighten. Those are important mom qualities. So will you? Lily pressed. That's something your dad and I would have to talk about, Eleanor said. If we decide to get married, you'll be the first to know, I promise. Lily seemed satisfied with that answer. Inside, Noah was making dinner. Eleanor came up behind him and wrapped her arms around his waist. Lily asked if I was going to be her stepmom, Eleanor said. Noah turned around. What did you say? I said we'd have to talk about it, Eleanor replied. So, do we need to talk about it? Noah cupped her face in his hands. I love you. Not Eleanor Pierce, the CEO. Not Ellie, the woman who pretended to be poor. Just you. The person who shows up and stays, who loves my daughter like she's your own, who learned how to trust again even though it scared you. I love you too, Eleanor said. "Both of you. You taught me what actually matters. And it's not the tests or the walls or the protection. It's this, being brave enough to let people in. So yes," Noah said, "we should talk about it, but maybe not right now. Right now, I just want to have dinner with you and Lily and remember that sometimes the best things in life don't come from tests or plans. They come from taking a chance on someone who walks into a diner wearing a grease-stained shirt and orders a burger without looking at the prices." Eleanor laughed, kissed him, let herself be happy in a way that didn't require performance or protection. Later, after dinner and dishes and getting Lily to bed, Eleanor and Noah sat on the front porch. The neighborhood was quiet. Lights glowed in windows up and down the street. Ordinary lives being lived in ordinary houses. "I never thought this would be my life," Eleanor said, sitting on a porch in a regular neighborhood with a mechanic and his daughter. "Disappointed?" Noah asked. "The opposite," Eleanor said. "I spent years building an empire, achieving everything I was supposed to want, and I was miserable. But this sitting here with you, this is everything. Even though I can't buy you expensive things," Noah teased. "Even though we live in a house that needs a new roof and drive cars with 200,000 miles on them, especially because of that," Eleanor said, "because it means you loved me when you thought I had nothing. You passed the test without even knowing there was one." "So no more tests?" Noah asked. "No more tests," Eleanor agreed. "Just trust, just showing up, just being real with each other." "I can do that," Noah said. Eleanor leaned her head on his shoulder, looked up at the stars barely visible through the city's light pollution, thought about the 27 men who'd failed her tests, thought about how close she'd come to losing the 28th because the test itself was the problem. She'd been looking for someone who would love her without her money. But what she'd really needed was to learn how to love herself enough to let someone in, to trust that she was worth more than her bank account. That kindness and honesty and showing up mattered more than any test she could design. Noah had taught her that, he and Lily both. They'd taught her that the strongest thing she could do wasn't building walls. It was taking them down, letting people see her, being vulnerable enough to say, "I'm scared," and "I'm lonely," and "I need you." That was the real test. And finally, after 28 tries, Eleanor Pierce had passed.